and welcome to this month's episode of HR Sound Off Live. My name is Julie Turney and I am your host. I always have to check to make sure I am not on mute. The same thing happens to me every time, but I am not on mute. We are here and I am really excited for our conversation today because joining me is one of my nearest and dearest friends, Anita Grantham. Anyone who knows Anita knows she's just an amazing human being, but she's such a talented and smart HR professional. And Anita made a choice to do something very similar to me, which is exit corporate. And I really wanted to have a conversation with her while it's fresh, while she's now out here doing her thing, to just see how she's doing and also for her to share a bit of her story with you. If you've been following HR Sound Off from day one, if you're like one of my day one HR Sound Offers, then you would know that Anita is no stranger to the HR Sound Off podcast. So I'm just going to bring her up and we're going to talk it out. Hi, Anita.
Hi, Julie. So great to be with you. I love that intro. That was so cool. I think that was new since I was here last. I love the music and the video clips. It's so chic.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. Yeah, you know how we do up here. We try to keep it classy and stuff, but I've had that intro for a while. I feel like it's time for a change, but I'm glad you like it.
I like it. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here with you as always. Spending time with Julie makes my whole week better.
Oh my goodness. Same here. I mean, we were talking before we went live and true form as we are, we just lost track of time. And I was like, oh, we got to get started.
Oh, we gotta put this show on the road. We're just taking the same conversation and doing it for all of you right now.
That's right. So let's do this, Anita. I'm going to give you a few minutes. I'm going to go off screen, give you a few minutes to just introduce yourself to our audience. Tell them a little bit about who is Anita Grantham. Give us your HR background story and tell us what you're doing right now. And then we'll continue the conversation from there.
Okay, sounds good. So I'm Anita Grantham, and I've been ahead of people my entire career. It's actually my first job at a construction company. I was hired in working for this amazing construction company for this incredible founder here in Arizona. That's where I am right now, reporting to the CEO and sitting on an executive team. So that's what makes me a little bit different, is that I've always reported to the CEO. I've always been in the top job, and I've had to learn the hard way. Right as I got into that job, I recognized I was over my skis, and I went and got my master's in organizational behavior and took the opportunity to set myself up with some great pillars in the space at that time. Intel, Medtronic had incredible people programs, and I was able to build relationships with people there that really helped craft and guide my journey as a leader in the people, places, and HR space. I still actually have breakfast with my first founder I ever worked with. I had breakfast with him last week and was able to thank him for the opportunity, because without somebody taking a chance on me and believing in myself more than I believe in myself, I wouldn't be here with all of you today. And then my journey continued in technology in Utah, working for Pluralsight, an incredible CEO there, Aaron Sconard. I was there for just almost 6 years in Utah, and then went on to BambooHR, which was a fantastic opportunity as well. And then at the end of 2024, I decided it was time for me to spend more time with my family. We've got 2 girls, they're 10 and 12. I have a bonus daughter as well, she's 25. And I have a dog named Derby, who's 135 pounds and needs a lot of love and care. And it was at that point that I decided I needed to focus more on them, our aging parents, and taking care of myself and providing more harmony into my work life and home life. And so since January, I've been doing my own thing in consulting for fast growth tech companies, mostly in Utah, around how we go and address their product, their go-to-market, their people practices, their thought leadership. And it's been super fun. And I'm always grateful to be here to share all these great things with Julie, as our journeys are pretty similar. Oh, now you're muted.
They see that's it gets me every time.
I hear you.
I am so glad that you joined us today to share your journey, Anita, and I'm sure that many people find that so inspirational. I just want you to have a glimpse of like who is in the space today. And that is, I see South Africa, Trinidad, I see Turks and Caicos, Florida is in the house. So you have like a diverse group of people here wanting to know your story. So thank you. Isn't that amazing?
It's amazing, and welcome to all of you. I see you all here in the chat and in the comments. It says I have to connect to YouTube to connect, and I don't want to mess anything up. But send your comments and questions. We always love to have an interactive conversation, and I love the crew here. So many great familiar names. So great to be with you.
Yes, yes. Hi, Tirsa. See you.
I see you.
So Anita, we do have very similar backgrounds in terms of how we developed our HR careers, but also in our exit of corporate, right? And I want to ask you first, like, what outside of like family, and I know that's a big thing for you, but I'm sure that you felt quite torn to make that exit from corporate because Bamboo HR is such a great place. What made you finally make the decision to say, look, I can't do this anymore. I really need to focus on me and practice HR on my terms?
Yeah, so there were a series of things that happened in 2022. I had shared with our CEO that I needed to move this show 12 hours south. So where we live in Phoenix is exactly 12 hours south of where we were living in Utah. And primarily it's because our parents were getting older and I was coming down here about once a month to do something to take care of my parents, which I'm super committed to.
Mm-hmm.
And I also started to recognize that it was feeling tougher to divide all my personal obligations with my work obligations. When I started at Bamboo, we were remote and I was in the office one day a week. And over time, for those of you that have been to Utah or you follow Bamboo on LinkedIn, we had moved into a beautiful headquarters that was originally built, partnership with my team when I was leading people in places at Pluralsight. And that team is all remote and they have this big, beautiful building on the Wasatch Front in Draper, Utah. And we were able to negotiate a deal to get Bamboo into this new space. And it was just this beautiful irony that I was there twice in two different jobs in two different companies in the same beautiful space made to take really good care of our humans. And it was through that evolution that we decided that Bamboo HR would be best in serving its customers if we were more in person than we were remote. So when we decided to move to Arizona, we were more remote. And over the course of 18 months to 2 years, we've become more in person, which I think a lot of people can understand. A lot of organizations have gone through this evolution being 5 years post-COVID. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is I rebuilt the executive team and all the executives were there in Utah. And it started out, I was supposed to be flying up once a month. And then all of a sudden I was there every single week for something, right?
Wow.
We had great Bamboo events. We were doing a lot of things. And so I'd be flying up for 2 to 3 to 4 days a week, depending on what was happening. Mm-hmm. And for those of you who are raising kids at this time, in the span of 8 to 12, being a parent, I think, is something that's harder today than it's ever been before. Absolutely. And when we got to Arizona, our oldest daughter was diagnosed with all 3 forms of dyslexia, something that the Utah school district had missed until she was in 4th grade.
Wow.
And we were really bummed by that. And so all of a sudden she got invited to leave her school, her private school in 5th grade here in Arizona in the middle of the school year. And I had nowhere to put her in school. Wow. So I actually had to hire a full-time tutor. And as I was figuring out how I could get her enrolled in school, because as a 5th grader, she was reading and doing math at a 2nd grade level.
Wow.
And so there was nowhere really for me to go. And I just remember going through that time. I'm flying to Utah, I'm running this team, I'm doing all the things you saw me do at Bamboo for all those years, which I love. And I felt really torn trying to figure out these things. And my husband is amazing, but searching out schools and calling teachers and hiring tutors, that's not his jam. Like, we have a divide and conquer philosophy.
Yes.
And this isn't on his to-do list. This is squarely in my area of expertise. And Julie, every week I felt like, and you can talk to the team at Bamboo, we're in touch all the time. Yeah. I felt like I was failing as a leader, as a partner to my CEO and founder at Bamboo. I felt like I was failing as a leader to my own people team and being a demonstration of the kind of leader I wanted to be. I felt like I was failing to my kids, and I felt like I was failing to myself. And I think over time, and Julie, you and I are really close, it just takes a toll.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm out here preaching work-life harmony and like I have it all together. And the bottom line is like, I didn't have it together. And I was really dropping the bar on all where I wasn't really doing anything with excellence. So it's not like, oh, I'm doing this so well and all of these things are going to slip. Like the whole bar was dropping. And so that's where we really just came to a mutual decision of like, I need you more in Utah. I'm like, I get that. I know you do. And I want to be here with you in Utah. And it doesn't work for me to be able to be great at all of these things the way that my husband and I define great.
Yeah. Wow.
That's the story.
You heard it right here, guys. That sounds like such a media interview, right? But you've touched on so many things that I know many of us in HR have grappled with. And I want to touch on something. So, like in the comments, you have Adam Joran who says, I've been here since Bamboo. You always have great insight. So say hi to Adam. But Tirsa also says, you're the face of Bamboo. Everyone wanted to see you. And that's true. So like when you said to me, like, you're not there anymore, I was like, I was devastated. But
it was too.
Yes.
Right? I wanted to be able to say that I could do it all. Like, I think that's how we're built, Julie. Like, I want to be like, I got this. I can do it all.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And it's so, I'm glad that we're having this conversation because I think it's so vital that people understand that sometimes when you make the choice to break away from corporate, it is not an easy choice that you make. It's not one you make in isolation of the organization you're working for, the people you're working with, but there's just a need and a shift that's happening in your life where you have to prioritize. And so you made that shift. You decided to prioritize. I want to ask you 4 things. So the first point that you made around aging parents, I think this is a very critical point because we are at a time in history where, for me as a Gen Xer, my mom is 72 and she lives about 10-15 minutes away from me.
I love that.
I don't know that I'd have that any other way, right? But the accommodations, the conversation around the accommodations of employees with aging parents that need to meet their needs. What do you think we need to do better as HR and as business leaders to support and facilitate that need for our employees?
It's a great question, Julie. And I think this is why RTO, return to office, has been such a challenge for so many. And, this is where I still think the workplace has a long way to come. And it just is amplified through RTO because we do not train leaders how to manage to outcomes. If we were great at managing to outcomes, people could earn the right to have flexibility. But we don't do that. There's not a leadership factory producing leaders that really creates, manages, and keeps strong agreements to know that your people are going to deliver on what they say they are going to do. That is less and less. And I really believe, Julie, if we did those things, people could do anything.
Yeah.
And so that way you're transparent with like, hey, I'm going to be out today at 2. I'm running my mom to the cardiologist or whatever they're doing. Or like right now, I just got in a giant fight with my husband because I sent him this text saying, Mom needs 3 bags of salt for her water softener. And he's like, can you at least say hi, thanks, I love you, or send a nice emoji? I'm like, don't you know who I am? I suck at text and I suck at Slack. And I'm not really like warm and fuzzy about it. Like she needs 3 bags of salt. That's what you say you do. He's like, so yeah, nothing's really changed out of corporate life with my level of aggression. It just hurted my marriage more. But, I just think you would have the ability to do that. And Julie, if I'm working for you, I'd be like, I'm still going to deliver that thing to you that I promised by this time. And you can count on it. And sure, that has to be built over time. I just think as leaders and people, we struggle with saying yes and no and managing expectations on deliverables for outcomes. And so still feel like we've got to see the green light. We've got to see you in the office. Otherwise, you're not working. And I just think there's lots of room to grow on this.
Nothing annoys me more than this entire conversation around you need to be in the office for me to see you to believe that you're actually doing some work, because I've seen some craziness on TikTok to show how people kind of have spoiled that for us, right? But where there's no trust is where we continue to have these challenges. And I think you made some really great points around being able to train leaders, to be able to recognize the importance of holding space for employees, and coming to agreements, being able to make decisions. So many times you see leaders say like they want a policy around it. And it's not about a policy, it's just about being human and doing the right thing, right? And I think that we've come to a place where we learned, but we didn't learn.
Yeah.
And I think return to office, as you said, gave people the license to be like, we can unlearn that now and go back to the way we were before.
And it's gone. It will never go back to the way it was before. We've been trying to fit it back in that box, and like the Jack in the Box is out, right? Whatever that toy is for that thing would jump out of the box, like it's out, or the toothpaste back in the tube is a better analogy. Because Joanna, you're right.
Yes.
But I will make one exception to this. And we went around and round on this at Bamboo. I think for people that are early career, that are doing inside sales or customer success, they benefit from being on the floor together.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's times where you're building teams or you're building technology, and product and technologists need to be together for a certain amount of time during the week. It doesn't have to be every day, but it takes intentionality. Yeah. And again, leaders need to be intentional and say, hey, we're going to bring you in and this is what we're going to do. And then they have to make good on it. Mm-hmm. I mean, there was like so many days where I'd go into the office, Julie, and I was on Zoom all day. And I was like, well, I could have done this at home. But at the same time, I got to meet people in the break room. I got to have a live lunch with some of my team. Mm-hmm. Those things are definitely worthwhile. Yeah. And you got to have stronger leadership than ever to make it happen, to allow for the flexibility we need for our aging parents.
Yes, indeed. And to your point, I think this brings in another element that I don't see happen a lot in organizations. And that's where it's not a one size fits all. We're not saying that hybrid or remote work is a one size fits all, but it's assessing which teams it can work for and then giving them the freedom to be able to say to their teams, this is how we're going to work this week, or this is how we're going to work this month. And then we might switch it up a little bit. It's about giving people the ability to be able to experiment with their teams, and see how the output becomes, right? When people have that freedom and you build that trust amongst your team, it does make a huge difference on how people show up and how people perform and the decisions that they make to say, look, I want to stay here.
Yeah. The other big that you highlight here, Julie, that companies are getting really good at is make it role specific. This role is required to be in office. Mm-hmm. And for all those people that are frustrated with it, pick a role that's remote. Yes. So you can be set up for success if that's what you need, and be okay if your role is now in person. You may agree or you disagree. It doesn't matter. The business is doing what they think is best. You're not going to win that battle. So let's go find roles and help each other find roles that work for your life and for your work.
Oh, say that again.
Let's go find it. Work for both.
People in the room need to hear that.
I feel like a lot of times it's easy to be a victim. And it's like, the workplace is doing this to me. And it's like, no, the workplace is doing it because whether we like it or not, they pay our bills and they provide our insurance. And that's still a big deal. And you have to respect where they're going to stay in business. It's not been an easy 4 years. And I think we're struggling to get wind behind our, beneath our wings. In this next few years, it's been harder to get jobs. People are struggling in the interview process. The process is taking longer. Business owners that I talk to, they're slower to make buying decisions, which means they're slower to make hiring decisions. It's not getting easier.
It definitely isn't getting easier. And you can see and feel the frustration, especially on LinkedIn. Yes. You can see it and you can feel it. I want to touch on the point that you made about how coming to this decision, before you came to this decision, how it made you feel. First as a leader, let me switch that. First as a parent and a wife, a family member, what were some of the biggest emotions that you were grappling with that brought you to this point that you felt like you were a failure for your family?
Where do you start on this one, Julie? I mean, I think the biggest one is flying to Utah every week, having my husband and my girls call me and be in tears. My husband wasn't usually in tears, but one of the two girls was having a major meltdown once a week every time I was gone. And knowing that if I was just in the house, it would be easier.
Yeah.
Also, parenting for me right now, it's not sexy. It's about the day-to-day. It's just being with them.
Yeah.
So while I could do all this fun stuff on the weekend, it really didn't take the quality of the relationship to the next level of just being present around pickup, homework, and dinner. To me, those are kind of the three pillars of success in our house. Is I'm there for pickup where we usually say nothing. And it's really important for them to have that quiet decompression time.
Yeah.
And to make a snack or dinner and let them come out of their shell. When I say nothing, Julie, it's really an amazing tip. When I say as little as possible, they start talking to me. The more I ask them, the quieter they get.
Yeah.
So it's just, you've got to create space to build these relationships. And then not only that, for those of you that have teenagers, this is news for me, is they like to talk at night. They talk at like 9:30 at night and they tell you about their day and I'm not there. And they aren't going to call me. Like, I don't think there's a technological substitute even called FaceTime that allows for that. And so, and then, you know what, I thought, okay, I'll interview for a new job. So I took some calls and interviewed for some jobs in Q1 and they were remote jobs. And then the CEO would say, hey, there's only 6 weeks a year. I need you. And this is like, again, how the Bamboo thing started. Yeah. And on those weeks, I kid you not, all good things happen at the same time. There will be a board meeting, a management retreat, a leadership meeting, and parent-teacher conferences on the same week when I'm not there. And it was at that point, Julie, I was just like, I can't dive back into this because I'm never going to satisfy everyone. And it was cool. And literally it was the redo of the schedule. It was me waking up, me recognizing that there was some bake sale or fundraiser or something I needed to do, and I'm supposed to be on the phone call, rearranging the schedule, getting the feedback in my 360s that I'm not dependable because I keep shuffling the schedule. And then looking at that downstream effect of me being so publicly focused out in front, preaching all these things and being like, how am I living up to those things?
You feel like a hypocrite.
Totally.
Yeah. That sucks. That really sucks. I know exactly what you mean because I think mom guilt is very real. And I know that there are times in my corporate HR career where I felt that so deeply. And I tell this story all the time about one day I worked like 14 hours. I was working on a payroll, and for some reason this payroll was just kicking me so far and I could not figure out why. And I got home maybe like around 8 o'clock that night, and I remember my second son at the time met me at the door and he was like, Mommy, you missed dinner. And then he said, you need to find another job because this isn't working for us.
Yeah.
You need to find another job because we miss you. And that hit me so hard. And that's why I always say to people now that, you can work for an organization, you can have the title, but the moment you decide to become a mom or a dad, husband or a wife, you're already someone's daughter, someone's son, and family member, right? But an organization can replace you in a heartbeat. Yes, they're going to have some kind of a grieving period, but it's never going to be as long as your kids will grieve you if you die. It's never going to be the same if your husband is grieving you or your partner is grieving you when you die. And so to prioritize, like I said before, this is not a decision that you make easily because you like being involved in the day-to-day of certain things and you like building an HR career, but there comes a time when decisions have to be made about, I still love what I do, but how do I do it on my terms? So let's talk about your beginning journey of this, practicing HR on your terms. What decisions did you make and how is that looking for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the biggest thing was knowing where my boundaries are.
Mm-hmm.
And being really clear on setting those. And I'm really only like 60 days in. So
Yes.
I'll have to come back in 6 months and give you a report. But I think the biggest thing is during the school year is I'm only going to be on calls from 10 to 2. And
Mm-hmm.
I've got to tell you, Julie, it's been such a relief because when I'm there for pickup and doing dinner, I'm not checking Slack. I'm not addicted to this thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I was like doing the day job reporting to a leadership team, I always, in tech, especially, you've got to be available. You've got
Yes.
to be there. And I felt like, and genuinely not because I had to, but I wanted to be available. I wanted to answer the phone when somebody called me. And now I really don't have to do that. And
Yeah.
so it's great. I'd be on a walk at 7 o'clock at night. And that's when I'd be like with the family, but on a call.
Yes.
And I don't have to do that anymore. And so knowing those boundaries was really important to me. Also
Mm-hmm.
knowing that I can't overschedule myself. So
Yeah.
right now I have 3 clients. I think that's probably my max. I feel really
Mm-hmm.
grateful that I have them. We're really aligned. And I'm actually not doing HR work. I'm
What?
doing, I
Say
know.
more.
I
Say more.
It's so interesting. So the one project I have, it's for a compensation company called Vision Link. They're fantastic. I wish I told them earlier today. I wish I'd known about them much earlier in my career because I've always needed a good comp person. And they do fractional comp work, and they have a software tool where you can do it yourself. And then they also have a consulting practice. So you can do long-term incentives, short-term incentives, all of those things.
I
Stock.
love that.
It's
Mm-hmm.
amazing. And so I just, I work 8 to 10 hours a week with them, and that's the cap. And they know it. And they actually had to convince me. It was actually because they were kind of like, will you come and help us? Because when I was at Bamboo, I would go and I would do keynotes at their Accelerate conference.
Mm-hmm.
And so what they said is, you're our buyer. Will you help us with our go-to-market strategy? So that's actually what I'm revamping right now is their go-to-market strategy for their consulting product. And then I
Nice.
help them turn that into a software product.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm doing some thought leadership for them. I'm helping them expand their marketplace. And so it's a people tech product, but I'm not doing HR for them. I'm helping them kind of expand their people tech capabilities to
Yeah.
a partner, group of people like us that would benefit from it.
Mm-hmm. I love that for you so much. And when you think about it, you're touching things that are HR related, but not necessarily being in the day to day of it. On the reverse of that, looking at it now, how does that look and feel to you in terms of how you would share that with others? Yeah.
I,
Yes.
I love it. And I
Yeah.
think it goes back, Julie, to something that you and I talk a lot about. Like, really, our job is in the center of every organization when we're sitting as a head of people or a head of HR. And so you actually, you can do anything inside an organization. Like, just know that. So even if you're not consulting right now, just know that you know everything you need to go out and give input in all aspects of the business, whether they're a people HR related product or not. I've got my other customer that I just am getting ready to sign the papers this week. So I won't announce it yet, but it's somebody
Right.
that you all know. And
Okay.
it's really exciting. And again, it's all in thought leadership, and it's helping taking their messaging out to the buyer. And so I'm really working with marketing teams. That happens to be the biggest acquisition. It's been the CMO in all 3 client groups that I have
Yeah.
said, Anita, we want you to come and help us.
Mhm.
So just believe in yourself and know that you can do anything out there. Thanks, Rhonda, for being here. Great to have you.
Yes. Thank you, Rhonda. Thank you. Also, Adam, I see he jumped off as well. Yes. Great to have you guys here. Um, I don't want to say your name wrong. Is it Razora? Is saying she loves the concept and that she moved to fractional over a year ago, and she says it's been great.
Yeah.
I want to say I really think that if I had stayed in corporate, there's no way I could be doing all the stuff that I do now, and I'm so glad that I made the choice to bet on me. So you're 60 days in, and I've been doing this for 5 years, five going 6 years. And I'm only now exploring the fractional piece of it. I've spent the bulk of my time coaching and supporting HR professionals, as you would know, but also helping HR professionals who are feeling stuck in their careers navigate them. And you said something that is my passion, as you would know. Um, there is no box
No.
when it comes to your HR career. I think so many times we get put in this box of we're responsible for the hiring and the firing and the strategy and the engagement and the culture. And we're not, or we can't be all of those things at all. We just can't. So I know my thoughts and I want to hear yours. Like HR reimagined and the future of HR roles, what advice would you give to our HR people who are watching this today, who are going to watch this weeks and months down the road as this lives on LinkedIn, in terms of what their HR careers could look like and the possibilities? I get so excited about this. And then I want to share with you something that I did recently that I think you're going to like.
Oh, I can't wait. Well, Julie, I have to thank you because you were at the center of me kind of coming out of this and deciding what I was going to do.
So
And right. And it was incredible. And I think what I learned from you is that there's no scarcity, one of the many things, right? You don't have to be scared. If you believe, and you said it, and this was the thing that transformed my decision in this, is bet on yourself.
that's it.
Right? It's actually, people have been betting on all of us for a lot longer than we have bet on ourselves. And
Mm-hmm.
knowing and believing in yourself, I actually have to like scale myself back because I'll work more, right? Because I know that I'm in control of it and there's so much opportunity and things to do out there. And so I think betting on yourself and don't feel limited. If you're passionate about something, now in this world of AI, you can learn anything. Like I just did a talk yesterday on privacy litigation and shakedowns around privacy for corporate litigation. Like, would you ever think that I'd be doing a corporate litigation talk in front of a bunch of attorneys? I was the only leader there that wasn't an attorney. And I love that. And I was able to learn about it. And I didn't realize how much crossover there was in my existing day job in thinking about privacy for customers, for employees, the things we would do culturally to bring privacy to the center of our organization. So just bet on yourself. And if you're interested in something, learn about it and take a risk. Go do a talk about it. I mean, you can put content anywhere. So test it and see if you enjoy talking about it and learning about it, and keep a list of the things that you love and you loathe. And there were so many people, Julie, at the center of it, other people too, that are, Julie, that are doing what you're doing. And they all said there's more than enough work to go around. I mean, Kelly Dragovich at HR Heretics, I had a call with her and she said the same thing. She's like, look, there's plenty for all of us. And we would love to have you in the crew that are doing this work. And it was awesome. So I've been welcomed by open arms. No one has said like, oh, there's not enough, or, I mean, it's just been incredible. So it's safe out here and it's flexible out here. And I think it's really fun.
Yes, it definitely is. I think, to your point, the possibilities are endless. The scope of work is endless, and there's more than enough for everyone. I mean, if you think about, you're based in the US, and for the most part, your clients are US based. I'm based in Barbados. Most of my clients are US based. And then I also have clients in the Caribbean. So the possibilities of where you can do this work and how you do this work are endless. There is no box. So the same way you could do it in Europe, there's no end to where this work could take you. I think it's such an exciting time to think about how you practice HR. And I also want to say, so let me tell you about something that I was doing recently, right? So I've been having this conversation recently, like with quite a few of the HR professionals in my community, and the conversation has been around what future HR roles look like. So I did an experiment recently with my dear friend GPT, right? And I put this prompt in, and basically the prompt was around, if I actually attached a survey that was created by Sage earlier this year around things that leaders struggle with when it comes to working with HR leaders. What's missing? And in the survey, it said we're missing business acumen, we're missing data literacy, and being able to tell stories with the people data that you have. And I put all of that into ChatGPT and I said, what were some of the rules that would come out of that for the future of HR in 2035?
Ooh, what did it say? What did Chad say? That's what I named him, Chad.
Chat. You name yours Chad? I like that. So basically, Chat says to me, well, you have you have data analysts, and we already knew that for HR. But one of the things that it gave me was like a VR scoper, like someone who helps people to adapt to an organization that only works through virtual reality. Then it gave me a second act coach. And I think I've talked about second act coaches before. So people who are helping people who are on the verge of retirement to actually keep the knowledge in the organization. And that's either through consulting or coming back and training. And some organizations do that now, but the future is definitely how do we retain that talent? Because let's face it, 70-year-olds are not looking as 70-year-olds looked before.
No, Martha Stewart is my idol. I don't know what she's doing at 86, but sign me up.
And there's so many people like that who are just so focused and driven and still, even though they're in their 70s or 80s. So being able to bring that knowledge back into the workplace, I thought was great. Yeah. And so I think that when we think about those possibilities, if you think about the things you like about HR, the things you don't like about HR, and you put into ChatGPT, these are the things I love about HR. Find me or recommend roles that I could pitch for. So this was the part now. So Chat says to me, we're not going to look for these roles on LinkedIn or Indeed or where Glassdoor, wherever they sit. Chat then goes and writes a pitch deck for me to pitch the role.
Ooh, I like it.
And that's the part that I was like, oh my goodness. Tell me possibilities upon possibilities.
Well, that's just it. They're out there. And so more than ever, there shouldn't be constraint right now. No. And I actually think for those of you that are like, boy, I wish Julie and Anita good luck because the economy is crappy. I actually think it's the best time because people are so happy to take a portion of our expertise and use it.
Yes.
And we don't want to work full time anyway. So it's great.
Absolutely. And just like you said, being able to have like structured set of hours. And as you know, I don't work on Fridays. I haven't worked on Fridays for the longest time. And to be able to say to my clients, look, I don't work on Fridays. And they go, okay, no problem. We accept that. We appreciate that. And therefore do what you need to do. And I know BambooHR was very respectful of the fact that I didn't work Fridays and was able, and a lot of my clients are like that as well. Yes. So you can create the space, the opportunities.
Yes.
You can do that. So tell our audience, what are some of the recommendations you have to help them shift out of the mindset of, I have to work in corporate versus I could work in corporate or I could live life outside of it? What are some of your tips?
The most important thing is you have to have a vision for what you want to create for yourself in the next 2 to 4 years. This is not a new concept for me. I'm just usually talking about it in the context of the organizations that we're working with. But it's the same for Julie and me. What do you want to accomplish in the next 2 to 4 years? And how are you going to design your life to figure it out? And we do this for organizations all the time. We just don't do it enough for ourselves. And I want to encourage you to do it for yourself. It's the best gift you can give yourself is to spend this time and say, who do I want to be as a leader, as a mom, as a wife, as an individual, as a daughter? Who do I want to be and how do I design my life for that? That's the biggest question, because otherwise, and I've done this before, this is my second sabbatical. I actually took 6 months off between Bamboo and Pluralsight, and it was hilarious because my husband's like, who are you talking to all day? He's like, you're on Zoom calls all day. Like, what are you doing? And because it's like such a habit for me, Julie, I just didn't know what else to do. So all these people, of course, are going to be like, can you meet? Can you meet? Can you meet? I mean, you get more requests than you have time in the day. And so this time around, I said, I'm not taking any money out of savings. Like if I want to go to the beach, I've got to be generating it on my own. I need to figure out a solution for insurance. I need to make sure I'm working between 10 and 2. I need to make sure that when I've got a client I really like that wants time outside of that, I'm not sacrificing the time I promised that I would give as my goal to be a mother. And I'm not being a martyr. I think this is the biggest guide rail, is I'm not blaming anyone else for why I'm here or not here, right? I'm choosing to do this. No one's making me do this. And I'm only going to do things that are fun with people who are fun. That's why I spend a lot of time with Julie. And so it's really important to be like, who do I want to surround myself with? And people that are bringing you up and supporting what you're doing and are playing better. I love spending time with Julie because she does what she does with excellence. And that makes me want to be better at what I'm doing every day. So continually learning and driving towards that vision would be the guide rails I'd have you consider.
Yes, I love that. And especially the part around doing things that you love with people that you want to be around.
Yeah.
And when you have those boundaries for yourself is so important. I think that when we create that space to just reevaluate and audit our lives and audit the work that we're doing, it makes a huge difference in the world, and the life becomes a lot lighter.
Yes.
Work becomes a lot easier.
Yeah.
When you figure that out. This is Mental Health Month, and I think a lot of conversations have been around burnout. I've had 4 conversations this week alone on burnout, and you said something very powerful, right? It's not a badge of honor.
No.
Having all this work, being this busy, it's not a badge of honor.
We do it to each other though, Julie.
Yeah, we do.
Right? Like, look, oh, Anita's got a big job. She's got a family. Like, it's almost like it was out there it was hard to give up that badge. Like, oh, she does it all. And it was just such a fallacy of the actual success criteria.
Yes. It's insane, right? You think about it, the pressure that we put on ourselves. And it takes me to that Brene Brown moment of like, what are the stories that we're actually telling ourselds about who we are? What are the limiting beliefs that we are putting on ourselves? And how we really need to reframe that and re-engage, connect, and fall in love with ourselves again, like ourselves again. Because as you said before, there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of fear of failure. There's a lot of guilt. There's so many things that come with making a decision like this to say, I'm not going to stick in the corporate space anymore, but I'm going to take the time to acquire my own work. That's the scary part, right? Because you're not waking up going to a 9 to 5 anymore. You have to make that work for yourself. And that's scary. But it's not impossible, right?
No, but I think it's kind of the shift that we're in. Like, if even one of the things I've been studying is, everything around the Bitcoin standard, and primarily the principles around Bitcoin is about decentralization and proof of work. And that's why I love it so much. And what you're talking about, Julie, is creating a proof of work that you can get behind and you're doing the work on. Now, you can do it and have somebody reap all the benefits from it, or you can do it and you can reap your own benefits. And I will bet on me all day long for my successes and my failures. But look, Julie, there's no one else to blame when you and I mess it up. But we say that in leadership too, but there's always somebody up the chain or down the chain to go to. Yeah. It's a real shift in accountability mindset is what I hear you saying. And that's the part that you have to be ready and built for. And it takes practice. That's why it's so good. You have a coach. I have a coach. We have people in our life that help us, have those velvet hammers to get us back on track, right?
Yes. Absolutely. I like this point that Razor is making around remembering that you're not alone. You create strategic partnerships. For example, is there an employee benefits broker that you can partner with? They run across organizations. They don't have HR or need HR support. Like where you find your first client or clients thereafter, right? And the thing is, once proof of concept and proof of work is done, then it makes it so much easier, and people will refer.
Yeah.
If people love working with you, they will refer you over and over again, hands down. And then before you know it, there's so much work, you have to start passing it along.
Right? Like, look
Yeah,
at it. It's taken me 2 months and I'm at capacity. And so,
that's
right,
amazing.
that's the power of creation and focus, though, that we see in organizations. That's like having a vision, staying committed to the vision, and believing that it's possible. It's
Yes.
not, it's not easy, but the day job isn't easy either.
No, it isn't. It is not. But that's the power of being in senior leadership teams in HR, and seeing how those leaders work at scale and being able to now take that and replicate it for ourselves in our own businesses. And we're so grateful to the leaders that guided us along the way
For
and gave
sure.
us the opportunities to do the work that we do now, right?
Oh,
So,
for sure.
yeah, so grateful. Our time is almost up. I can't even believe it. I'm looking at it and I'm like, how are we almost at an hour
How's
on
this
on the
possible?
clock? But guys, if you have any questions for Anita, this is or myself, this is a great time to just plug those questions into the chat, as we start to wrap up our conversation today about life after corporate. So you are 60 days fresh out of corporate. Now, I know that you are an amazing HR leader. And I got to ask you, I should have asked you this at the beginning, but I'm asking you this now because when you left Bamboo, you left a team.
Mm.
And I know that that had to be really hard, a team that you built, and people that you really helped to nurture and build their careers. And 60 days out of it now, are you still being contacted by the team? Like, how is the team feeling?
Yeah.
Knowing after
So I'm 60 days into like being my own me in
yeah,
my business, but I'm 6 months out of Bamboo. So
mhm,
my last day was 12/31/24. So I'm 6 months out.
right,
And it's a great question. I talk to the team every week. But I talk to my plural site team still, people there every week.
yeah,
And so to me, it's teams for life.
yes,
And there's people on both of those teams that I love dearly. One of them, a plural site friend, I'm going on an Alaskan cruise with this summer with her family. I mean, the best part about being not team members anymore is you can be friends.
yes,
That's really exciting. And so, in a lot of ways, the relationship and communication increases.
hmm,
And I'm there when they have great days. I'm there when they have crappy days. They know that I have the context. They know that they can call and share with me confidentially what's happening,
hmm,
if they need advice about anything. And a lot of those people have moved on from those companies, and I'm still great friends with them. And we're
yeah,
all supporters of each other, and I'll, always have mad love for them always.
and that's because you're such an amazing human being,
Oh, thanks.
being able to carry that through. Um, any last words of encouragement that you want to give our audience who are here today, people who may be struggling still in corporate, people who may be considering about making the leap? Any last thoughts that you want to share with them?
I mean, I think a few things is that I think Julie and I have done a good job of making it sound very glamorous.
Mm,
And I do want
it's
to share. Well, I think, I talked to a woman who's a senior executive at one of the big banks in the US. And she's like, tell me all about it. Like, what do I have to think about? What is it like? And I was like, how much longer till you're fully vested? And she's like, 2 years. And I'm like, don't leave. Like, don't leave. Like, wait it out. Like,
not.
be smart and also be aware that, especially of these big banks, right, that have like tons and tons of resources and deep, deep benefit chests. I was like, you don't have anybody funding your HSA anymore. You don't
Mhm.
have a matching 401k. Like, you have to be fully aware of the trade-offs in some of those things. And you also have to look at those things relative to your life.
Yeah.
And so I think it doesn't come without real good, thoughtful planning, um,
Mhm.
and assessment. And there's a lot of great things about corporate, and there's a lot of great things about being independent. Nothing is perfect, and nothing is forever.
Right.
It's so interesting. When my kids were little, it was easy for me to travel every week and to do what I did. It didn't, and everybody told me when your kids get older, this will be harder. And I didn't believe them. And now I'm here and I believe them. And I'm like, okay, this is it. And so as they get older, maybe I'll want to go back to corporate, right?
Mhm.
Who knows? But I think you've got to pick the thing for the phase and stage that you're in. And
Yes.
again, look back to the vision of what makes you happy and able to thrive and all the aspects of success as you design it.
Yeah. Well, what I hear there is you got to count the cost of making the decision to take the leap if you're going to leave corporate, and look at what your plan is. If it's a 6 month plan, if it's longer than that, then just wait it out
Yeah,
until you can navigate it at a time that is a bit more comfortable for you. Uh,
totally.
I see. Oh goodness, please forgive me. I'm not gonna say your name because I don't want to mess it up, but I'm gonna put the question on the screen. But he's asking, in this bad economy, how easy is it to maneuver around getting new clients, keeping the business up, and without risking its demise? Sustainability is never easy. Um, but you have to constantly be building relationships. And I think this was part of the conversation that Anita and I were having before we went live. And I was talking about, attending conferences. You have to know where your people are, who your ideal customer is, and where they are. And if there are HR conferences, then you need to be there networking. And obviously, if you're self employed like us, you can't attend every conference. So you have to pick and choose very creatively which conferences you're going to attend and how you're going to meet those people. So, for example, one of the conferences that I've been attending for the last 2 years is Transform. I absolutely love Transform. Prior to the conference, Transform has a platform where they allow you to go in and schedule meet and greets with people who are coming to the conference. And that makes it a lot easier. So then you're going to meet Anita Grantham at 6 o'clock in the foyer and have a conversation. And whether that's about, you start to just get to know each other. They also have these really great devices on your card where you can click and
Good.
connect people. I absolutely love that,
Me
because
too.
then after the conference you can go and start connecting and having conversations with people. But I do think that it's important to recognize that once you're on your own, you are the sales and marketing department, right? And to Rezora's point, this is where community comes in. And as an HR professional, or an HR consultant, whatever you want to call yourself when you're out here, fractional, community is everything. Whether that's community that can refer you, and know the services that you offer and share that, or whether that is community in people who offer services external to you that you can partner with and also gain a little money that way as well. So there are lots of options. It doesn't necessarily mean that every time you're out there prospecting, but you're building relationships, and then also building thought leadership. So Anita talked a lot about building her thought leadership, sharing her thought leadership across the organizations that she's working with now. Thought leadership is everything. And that begins by taking platforms like LinkedIn and sharing your knowledge and your expertise here, and not just using it as a place to share your resume or share a job that you have, but share the thought leadership. There was a reason why that company hired you. You have expertise and value that no one else has, and so no one's going to share that the way that you would. And I'm going to finish here and give Anita a chance to also answer this question. But what I will say is that there was a quote that I heard the other day that said, no matter how much competition there is, no one can be the authentic self that you are.
Totally.
Your authenticity is everything. And so if you show up as your authentic self, whether it's at conferences, one-on-one meetings, group sessions, on LinkedIn, your authentic self, people will engage and people will want to talk to you and they'll want to work with you. So no matter how bad the economy is, if you know who your ideal customer is and you just find practical ways to meet, greet, learn, get to know them, things will happen or organically over time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love this. I think you're so right on, Julie. And the thing I want to double down on that you mentioned is that you have got to understand the problem that they have. When you hear the problem they have and you authentically feel like you can deliver that solution, there's so much business out there, so much. And so I think that seeing the economy as bad or good is just a choice. I don't think there's bad or good. There's ups and downs. There's a lot of people that feel great about it. There's a lot of people that feel horrible about it. It doesn't matter to me. I know that I can go listen to people and identify what they're struggling with and help them solve it, whether that's me or not. I got a ping to facilitate an executive leadership retreat. I said, I'm happy to help you. And by the way, here's 4 other names of people that can help you. And I think, like Julie, you talk about that abundance mindset really goes around. You have to believe you don't always have to sell yourself. I'm like, here's 4 other people that are great, and that is what makes this world go round. And always keeping in touch with people, not because you want something, because you genuinely care about how they're doing. And that's how this circle of life can work best.
Oh, that's beautiful. And I couldn't have said it better. That's why you finished our conversation.
Wow.
It has been an absolute pleasure having you here today, Anita. I am so proud of you for betting on you. And I know you're going to do amazing things, and we are going to do some great things together, guys. So please stay tuned, because now Anita is free. We can start to do some collaborations that we've been talking about over the years that we can now actually bring to fruition. So we're excited for what lays ahead as we partner and collaborate together. So I'm excited for that. Thank you.
I'm so excited. Thank you, Julie, for having me. It's always wonderful to be with you. It's so much fun. So thank you for inviting me.
And thank you, everyone who showed up today. And to everyone who's going to watch this directly after we're finished going live, we want to thank you too for being here today. I have to do a shameless plug for Transform. I completely forgot. So my company is a partner with Transform, and their early bird tickets for Transform are out, and they are about to expire tomorrow. I am so sorry. I'm going to
Great. Sign up.
I'm going to put the link in the comments so that you can sign up for anyone who wants to attend Transform in 2026. You can use my partner link and get some very special discounts on attending Transform. Like I said, it's a great space to network, build community, and get knowledge and experience in the HR space that you wouldn't normally get at every conference offers something different, but Anita and I absolutely love Transform, so we will be there. So I will definitely share that link in the comments after the live, because I've got to go find it. I just remembered it. That's the ADHD brain. I was like, I gotta remember to share this thing, and I did not remember before. So
you did it. You got it in. You did awesome.
We got it in. We got it in. Anyone who is in Trinidad and Tobago on this live today, Disrupt HR is coming to Trinidad on the 6th of June, guys. So if you have not signed up to attend Disrupt HR, please make sure you do that. I will also put that link in the comments. So all the plugs are coming out, Anita. And if later down in the year you're at Disrupt HR Phoenix, you might just get a surprise.
I can't wait. I'm crossing my fingers. We're going to make this happen.
Just saying, guys. Thank you so much once again, everyone. This is HR Sound Off Live. This is your host, Julie Turney, and I am signing out. And I will see you on the next HR Sound Off.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
And I don't remember how to sign this out.